it has been a pleasure to hear your thoughts. Now to Latin America, Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez has said that the diplomatic relations with the United States had been re-established after Caracas and Washington have agreed to resume ties that were severed in 2019. Rodriguez has added that Venezuela is going to resolve its historic differences with the US through diplomacy. However, the US State Department has said that the two countries had agreed to re-establish diplomatic and consular relations with the aim of fostering a peaceful transition and elections for a new government in the South American country. Meanwhile, Delcy Rodriguez has responded. Let's listen into what she had to say.
Ustedes saben que el día de ayer hicimos un anuncio importante para Venezuela. Hemos restablecido relaciones diplomáticas y consulares con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Nos tocó decirlo frente a nuestros héroes y heroínas caídos en combate el 3 de enero, cuando fuimos a rendirle homenaje y le dijimos a Estados Unidos, vamos cara a cara a resolver nuestras diferencias históricas, las vamos a resolver por la vía diplomática. Vamos entonces, pues, a establecer esa agenda de trabajo bajo preceptos de respeto, con apego a la legalidad internacional.
Now, joining us live, we have Thomas Porteous, who is a correspondent at NewsX World. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Now, what do you make of these conflicting statements coming from the United States on one hand and Venezuela on the other? The United States has signaled that they want to see elections and regime change, and Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, has said that she's looking forward to resuming relations between the two countries, historically after many years of shortage between the two. What do you make of that?
Well, yes, Ruby. What started off this year with an age of uncertainty for Venezuela has brought more clarity. We have indeed seen now the development of relations between Washington and Caracas underneath the new Delcy Rodriguez administration. The warming of ties and the re-establishment of diplomatic negotiations between the both of them, something which was severed in 2019 during Nicolas Maduro's presidency, ties which were severed over concerns over human rights abuses and an illegitimate election by Maduro 7 years ago now. A lot of critics and analysts were raising alarm sirens when Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores were initially taken from their residence back on the 3rd of January of this year. However, what seems to have happened is that there has been some relations and diplomatic negotiations going on behind the scenes, and now we have seen economic there's economic prosperity which seems possible for Venezuela. We have oil companies now involved in the country. There's serious investor interest, particularly coming out of the United States, including shipments of diluted crude oil, which that black liquid that, of course, Venezuela is so rich with. Of course, we've now heard this news of the opposition preparing for elections. There is, of course, no date for said election. The opposition leader, Marina Corina Machado, has signaled her interest in returning to Venezuela to participate in those elections. And of course, we've seen that significant announcement of those prisoners that have been released throughout the months. Over 500 now being released, although hundreds still remain in behind bars in the country. So we will see how this relationship develops. It's very easy behind, of course, the ongoing war in the Middle East to, of course, forget about this situation. However, this is seemingly a positive development between both Washington and Caracas, and we'll keep tabs on how this develops.
Mm-hmm. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today. Pleasure to hear your thoughts. Now to Africa, flash floods have triggered triggered by heavy rains have caused widespread disruption across Nairobi, submerging key roads and leaving vehicles stranded in fast-moving waters. Mombasa Road, Uhuru Highway, Kirinyaga Road and parts of the Westlands district were severely affected. Emergency responders, including Kenya Red Cross teams, worked overnight recovering the body of a local egg seller found under an overturned vehicle. Authorities have issued a warning for residents to stay clear of flooded streets and drainage channels. The Kenya Meteorological Department has forecast continued heavy rainfall through March 9th, with concerns about urban flooding, poor visibility and rising river levels. Areas such as the Central Highlands, Lake Victoria Basin and coastal regions remain on high alert as more rain is expected in the coming days.
Sasa huyo mzee anatuletea hadi mayai, nikaona akibebwa na maji kutoka huko juu, na tunamjua. Tukaona amebebwa na maji, sasa kwenye maji ilikuwa mingi hatukujua imeenda aje. Sasa ndio tunamuona chini ya gari.
Robert Lighthizer, former US trade representative, has resigned from the board of directors of Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG, according to a SEC filing. Lighthizer, who played a key role in implementing tariffs on Chinese imports and renegotiating NAFTA during the president's first term, left the board without any reported disagreements with management. TMTG, known for its Truth Social platform, has faced challenges in growing its media business amidst competition from larger social networks. The company is considering spinning off Truth Social into a publicly traded entity. TMTG has also pivoted to focus on fusion energy, agreeing to merge with TAE Technologies in a deal valued at over $6 billion. And that's all that we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.